Hey you guys, how are you doing today? Hope everything is wonderful. Hope everything is well. Hope you are all safe. There's some crazy things going on right now, but I hope you are all safe. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. I really, really, really appreciate it. And hopefully, I'm bringing you some good information, and that's why you keep tuning in. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for joining. Um, I on this channel I do Lord I'm at a loss for words. I don't know why. On this channel I talk about budgeting, saving, investing, side hustles, starting your own business, my money Mondays and things like that. So hopefully if you like what you hear, you'll subscribe because I see a lot of you are watching, but you're not subscribing. What are you waiting for? Come on in the room. All right, y'all, let's get into it. So, as the title says, this is a highly requested video. Budgeting basics, budgeting for beginners, budgeting 101. I've been budgeting since, oh gosh, since I had my first child because, you know, for me, you got the budget. One of the things that my mom taught me and instilled in me, always pay your bills first. First your rent, then your electricity, because you need a place to stay, you need a roof over your head, and you need some lights. You need to be able to see and be able to cook. So you always have to put your needs first instead of your wants. And sometimes that's hard. A lot of us want things but don't necessarily need them, and we end up spending money on wants, and then our needs take a back seat, and then you find yourself in the danger zone of trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. But you know, we've all been here. There's no judgment here. Shoot, child. I remember standing in a line trying to get help to pay my light bill. I've stood in line to get some food. I've stood in line to help pay rent. So, I mean, we've all been there. There's no judgment. There's nothing shameful about it. We just learn and we grow and we try to do better. That's all we can do. When you know better, you do better. Now, once you know and you're still doing the same old stuff, then there's a problem. Because it's that it's like people say, you know, people always say, you know, I wish I had $1 million. But if you're bad with managing money, it's still not going to feel like you have $1 million. Your $1 million is still going to be gone too. Why do you think a lot of these entertainers and things like that, they end up getting millions, and then in like 5 years or less, they're broke? A lot of these lottery winners that win millions, and I'm talking about like 10 million plus, 5 years or less, they're broke. And people are like, how are you broke and you have millions of dollars? Because they don't know how to manage their money. They be balling out of control, child. And thinking that money is going to last forever. But if you don't know how to manage money, your money is not going to last forever. But if you know how to manage money, your money will last you your lifetime. Now, budgeting may not make you rich, but budgeting tells your money where to go. Budgeting can help you get to where you need to go. Budgeting can help not have to have you stand in line needing help to pay the rent or the lights or anything like that. You know, I was young. I was a teen mom. Then I got married and together, you know, had 3 children. So by the time I was 23, I was married with 3 kids. 24. I was married, no, 23. By the time I was 23, I was married with 3 kids. So, needless to say, you know, me and my husband was young, and that was a long time ago, child. I'll be 50 this year. So, just imagine back in the day what minimum wage was. You know, minimum wage right now is what? $10, if that, or is it $7.50? I don't even know. But just imagine what minimum wage was. My very first job, y'all know how much I was making per hour? $3.25. That's right. I said it. $3.25. Now, I don't know how these government officials or whatever think people can live off a minimum wage these days. They are fighting not to give, what are people asking for, $15 right now for minimum wage? Shoot, you can't even live off of that. I mean, just imagine working hard for that hour and all you get is $15. But they don't even want to give you that. They want to give you $10. Child, don't even get me into that. That's a whole different video. Okay, so we're going to talk about this budgeting. So let's get into it. I hope y'all get some good information about this. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer your questions. So I just wrote some things out so I know what I'm talking about, so I can stay on track, give y'all some good information, and we'll see how things roll. And child, don't worry about this little nail that's leaning to the side. Y'all know how I am with my nails. This nail wanted to go rogue. It wanted to be on gangsta lean. It said this is for my homies in that gangsta lean. If you don't know the song, don't worry about it. I'm tripping. We're going to go ahead and get into this. So budgeting 101, easy budgeting for beginners. Let me grab my pen. Okay. So first of all, I want to talk about the cash envelope system. Well, you know what? First, let's see. Do I have them in order? Step 1. Okay. I think this is supposed to be in the back. Lord, child, thought I was prepared. Wait a minute. Hold the line, please. Let's see, I got that with paycheck budget. Okay, let's do step 1. And then we'll worry about how all the papers go. Okay, step 1. So, like I said, budgeting is basically telling your money where to go. Some people do a zero budget, which just means every single dollar is accounted for and has some place to go. Some people like to have a cushion and they just worry about their bills. And then if they have extra left over, then it just stays in their checking account. That's basically how I do. I don't really do a zero-based budget because what I do is I just leave money in my checking account just for a cushion. Sometimes I move money to my savings account when that cushion gets a little big to make sure I have my savings for your 3 to 6 month savings that you should have. So that's part of budgeting too. If you don't have a savings, you need to at least, your first step with budgeting is to at least get that $1,000 saved for an emergency fund, even if it takes you all year. And there's plenty of trackers and things like that, savings challenges, so you can save up your first $1,000 savings challenge. But I'll get into that a little later. So step 1, write down all of your expenses. And I mean everything, child, everything. The rent, the lights, the water, the gas, your gas for your vehicle, your car payment, your car insurance, your renter's insurance, your groceries, your money that you spend on your beauty, your hygiene, your personal items, money you spend on entertainment, money you spend eating out, money you spend on buying gifts. And we'll go through what I do for my budget and my seeking funds. Or maybe I'll just show y'all right now, just to show y'all what I mean, just to show you how I do my expenses. But what I mean by tracking your expenses, first you're going to have your fixed expenses, which I said is like your rent, your car payment, car insurance, your lights, your cable, your water. And some people, instead of putting lights, cable, and water in fixed expenses, they'll put them in adjustable expenses because those expenses are not really the same every month. But I put mine in fixed expenses because I know I'm going to have that expense every single month. It has to be paid. Well, technically cable doesn't have to be paid. But child, but I had my internet. Well, I had my internet hooked up to my cable, so I had that. I guess technically it'd be my internet bill or whatever. But that's basically your fixed expenses. Your adjustable expenses is like your gas, your groceries, credit cards, things that are not the same every month. Some things you don't even have to spend money on for the month. Like this month, I didn't even put money towards gas because I didn't need it. Didn't need to put money towards credit cards because my credit cards are at zero balance. So that's what that means. Occasional expenses just mean like birthdays, Christmas, scheduled car maintenance, and things like that. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and break out my 2 wallets. So I have my cash envelopes in this one. So in my cash envelopes that I budget for, and I just stuffed my envelopes. I just did my cash stuffing video, so that's why you see they're filled with money right now. Like I said, right now. So my giving, and I do a paycheck to paycheck budget. I'm going to get into different types of budgets as well as I move along. But I do a paycheck to paycheck budget. So when I budget, I get paid every 2 weeks. So I budget my paycheck every 2 weeks. So the money that you see in my envelopes lasts me for 2 weeks. So in my cash envelopes, I have giving, I have gas, I have lottery, don't judge me. I have groceries, and I have my mini emergency. Now, my mini emergency is not the emergency fund that I have saved up in my savings account to hold my 3 to 6 months worth of savings. My mini emergency is for something that comes up last minute, like a mini, like say for instance, if I'm driving and I get a flat tire and I need a tire, that will come out of my mini emergency. So that's what I have for that. So next I'm going to show you my sinking funds. And sinking funds are basically funds where you're building up to something to have the money for. So like my sinking funds are health, because I know I'm going to spend money on health. So I'm going to budget for that. I'm going to continue to budget for that. So health, what I include in my health, I pay for my vitamins, my co-pays, things like that. I have my household. Household is stuff like your washing powder, your dishwashing liquid, soap, you know, things like that. Clothes and shoes, I don't have to explain that. Car maintenance, everybody has car maintenance. If you have a car, you have to get oil changes. Something may happen to your car, maybe it's time for a tune-up or whatever. So I save up for my car maintenance, especially since I have an older car. I have a 2009. So every year it needs a little work done to it, usually around $300 worth of work besides my oil changes. So I have an expense tracker for that, my sinking funds for that. I also have a sinking funds for vacation. It's always good to save up for vacation so you won't be caught at the last minute trying to scramble with money or not paying bills to go on vacation. Save for your vacation. That's what budgeting is. You're saving. I have my Christmas sinking funds envelope because I know Christmas is coming. So again, you don't want to be caught last minute not having no money or scrambling to have money. Go ahead and save something every paycheck for Christmas. Beauty just includes my if I need nail polish, if I need stuff for my hair, you know, things like that. It's supposed to be beauty and personal. So I'll put, for my personal stuff, I'll put my like if I need some new tweezers or fingernail polish remover, you know, things like that. That all comes out of this sinking funds. Entertainment and eating out means just that. You save up for eating out and you try and stick to a budget. You say, I'm going to budget $20 every paycheck for eating out. That's what you stick to. I have gifts. You want to budget for gifts, so again, you don't have to be caught up last minute. I know I'm going to have gifts because I definitely give gifts for my family, my kids. I just kind of basically budget for the major gifts. Before, you know, when I would go to people's birthday parties or whatever, I would get them a gift card and budget that in there. But, you know, right now we're not going anywhere. So I just have my 3 kids, my mom, my dad, my sister, my nephew. That's it. My extra envelope just means the little extra that I have when I'm budgeting my paycheck. So like I said, I kind of sort of do like a zero base, but it goes into my extra. And then a lot of times I'll put extra back into my bank account too. Don't worry about that money. Like I said, I just did a cash stuff in video. So that is from my savings challenges that I have. So I hope I haven't confused you yet, but I'm going to go back over all this stuff. So step 1, write down all of your expenses. Write them down. Step 2, figure out how you want to plan your budget to pay your expenses. So there's different ways to create your budget. You can do a monthly budget or you can do a paycheck budget. I personally do a paycheck budget because it's easier for me. So one of my paychecks pay for the 1st through the 15th bills, and then my other paycheck will pay for the 16th to the end of the month bills. And I'll show you what I mean when I get into my paycheck budget book. But that's the second step. Decide how you want to budget your money. You know, if you get paid weekly, do you want to budget your money weekly? Do you want to do a paycheck budget, which means if you get paid weekly, you budget your paycheck weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly. Some people just do a monthly budget, and they know what to put in for each envelope every time they get paid to reach that month goal by the time they get to that date. For me personally, trying to do a monthly budget for me based on my paycheck is how should I say it nicely? I guess there's no nice way to say it. It's just cumbersome to me. It just, yeah, child, I ain't feel like doing all that. But, if you can handle a monthly budget and you don't get paid monthly, but you get paid weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, but you can handle a monthly budget, go for it. Everybody is different. What I do is not set in stone. I'm just telling you what I do. So that's step 2. Step 3, figure out when your bills or your expenses are due. So you want to make sure you do that. So you know when to budget that money, so you'll have that money when it is due. And that's why I kind of like doing a paycheck budget, because I know one paycheck is going to go for the 1st through the 15th. The other paycheck goes for the 16th through the end of the month. So this is for example. So rent is due on the 1st. Lights are due on the 20th. And some people have a grace period. Like I used to have when I had an apartment. I used to have a grace period. I didn't have to pay to the 4th. So you know how sometimes you get those little tricky paychecks that you might get on the 2nd or the 3rd. So I will wait for that paycheck, and that would be the paycheck that I would pay my rent on. But primarily rent is due on the 1st. My lights were due on the 20th. My water was due on the 15th. This is an example. Cable is due on the 25th. Car payment is due on the 5th. Car insurance is on the 18th. Now, these are not my bills. This is just an example of what I mean. So first you want to take care of all of your main expenses, all of your fixed bills, all the bills that have to be paid that you need. These are your needs. Now, cable is not necessarily a need, but if you have your internet and your home phone mixed all in together, then you would need that. That's how I had my service. All my service was all in one. My cable, my internet, and my home phone was all in one bill. So these are the bills that you really need to pay, especially rent and lights and water, because you need that water, child. And then you just write down the due dates and you figure out which check is going to cover that if you're doing a paycheck budget. If you're doing a monthly budget, you're going to write it out a little differently. Now, this is kind of showing you kind of based on a paycheck budget. But like I said, you can break it down by the month and see what you need to have when things are due. So when you figure that out, then you figure out what cash envelopes and sinking funds envelopes that you want to have. So you want to make sure, I'm trying to make sure all this stuff is in. You know what? Let me kind of zoom in a little bit. See if it looks a little bit better. I'm just going to zoom in. All right. So these would be your cash envelopes and your sinking funds. And you have to figure out how much you want to put in there per paycheck. How much can you afford? Or if you have a goal that you're working towards for something, like if you have a Christmas goal, say for instance, of $1,000 for Christmas, then you're going to divide that by how many paychecks you have in the year. And then that'll be the amount that you put in the sinking funds for Christmas. So you'll have it for the end of the year. Now, I do it based on Black Friday because I want to have money saved up by that week of Thanksgiving. Usually I do the week before Thanksgiving just to make sure I have it for Black Friday. So that's how I'll divide my money. I'll divide by that month or that date, the week before Thanksgiving, and then break down how much I need per paycheck. You can figure out how much money you need to set aside for gifts, how much money you need to set aside for car maintenance. Everything like that, that is on you. Everybody's budget is going to be different. So do not compare your budget to anyone else's budget. Your budget is your budget. You're budgeting off of your money. You're budgeting off of what you need. You might not need $30 for gas. Like, I don't need $30 for gas. I didn't even need $20 for gas this paycheck because I work from home and I don't really go anywhere. I might go out once or twice a week, but everything that I need to go to is right in my vicinity. I may go out 10 minutes outside from where I live. So I don't need the gas like that. But some people are still going into the office and it might be far and they may need $30. So like I said, everyone's budget is different. So it's totally up to you. So you just figure out what you need, and then that's how you come up with your sinking funds and your cash envelopes. And you're not going to have all the sinking funds that I have. You're not going to have all the cash envelopes that I have. You might not have a lottery envelope. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, your budget is your budget. Your sinking funds are your sinking funds. Your cash envelopes are your cash envelopes, child. So don't worry about anybody else's budget. All right? Moving on. So I've done a little paycheck budgeting setup. Like I said, I'm really kind of speaking towards a paycheck budgeting type of setup because that's what I do. So this is kind of how I set it up. And I'm going to show you my paycheck budgeting book. But this is kind of how you would look at it and set it up. But I'm going to go into my paycheck budgeting book and show you a better example of that. And again, just showing you an example. Because, well, I'm showing you on this paper too because you don't need an expensive budgeting book. You don't need all that extra stuff. You can just get a regular old notebook from Walmart or somewhere and just use that notebook to just write your stuff in. You don't need all the expensive stuff. Okay, I was looking on that sheet. So cash envelope system. I guess I kind of jumped the gun because I already showed y'all my cash envelope system. But basically the cash funds and the sinking funds is basically called a cash envelope system. This is Dave Ramsey inspired. Now, Dave Ramsey have you doing the extreme. I don't do the extreme, although I do a lot of what he says. I don't do the extreme because I am going to take vacation. I'm not eating beans and rice every day. I'm not eating oodles and noodles every day to pay down debt. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. If you want to do it, more power to you, child. Go for it. Hats off to you. But I cannot do it. So cash envelope system. What is it? It's just a way to track how much money you have and how much you're spending. That's all it is. You're tracking it. And you'll see in my sinking funds, I have a tracker so I can keep up with what's in there and what I spend. So when I spend money, I just cross it off. When I spend money and when I put money in there. So right now it's saying I should have $50 in there. So let's count this money real quick and see what I have in there. $10, $20, $30, $50. So I have $50 in there. And when I spend money, I'll just cross it off my tracker. Like when I get home from the store or whatever, I'll cross it off my tracker, and that's how I keep tracking. I have one in every envelope. So you see I have household. Just so you know where the money is coming from. And what I do sometimes, because like when I go to Walmart, and of course I'm spending this on household, I'm spending on household things, I'm spending this on beauty things. I'm not going into every single envelope and pulling from that. But I take that back. What I do is usually I'll write a list when I go to Walmart. And I will go ahead and pull, if I know that I need something from health, I'll pull like $10. If I need something from household, I'll pull $10. That's how I usually do mine. Need something from beauty, I'll pull $10. When I eat out, it just comes straight out there. When I get my delivery, I just pay like that. And then what I'll do is when I look at my receipt from Walmart and I see what I spent on this and what I spent on that, so I make sure that I take out from the sinking funds envelopes that I need to take out. And then sometimes, quiet as kept, I will use my card, then pull my money from my sinking funds and just deposit it back into my bank. I don't know why I do that. Just sometimes do that because sometimes it's just quicker to grab my card. Sometimes I know the purpose of doing cash envelopes is to not swipe your card, right? But sometimes sometimes I don't prepare before going to the store. And, I don't want no mean looks coming to me at the line while I'm trying to flip through different cash envelopes to pull a 10 out of here and 10 out of there. And you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So the next is how. You create categories for each envelope and put your cash in it that you want to budget weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, monthly, and use it when spending or paying your expenses. Now for the why. Why do you do a cash envelope system? Well, you do the cash envelope system to help control spending. Most people say when you see yourself spending the cash, you tend to spend less than when you swipe that card. Because when you swipe that card, you're like, oh, I got it. Let me just swipe the card. So the purpose of having cash is so you're spending your cash, and it's a mental thing. It's a mind trick. It's a what do you call it? It's a Jedi mind trick. They got that Jedi mind trick working. They think that if you see that cash leave your hand, you're not gonna want to spend as much of it as you would if you swipe that card, because you're not seeing it. Got it? Okay. So this is my budgeting book. This is my first year using the Budgeting Mom's budget book, but I got her budgeting book because her budgeting book breakdown is the way that I was breaking down my budgeting every paycheck. And let me show you so I can explain it to you. She has a lot in here, and a lot of stuff I don't use, but I just like the way that her setup is. So you'll see my calendar. The reason why this looks so thick because I glued some pages together for pages that I don't use. So here is an example. This was my first paycheck of January. Or was it my first? Oh, it was my last paycheck of December. So you see what I mean? So my December 25th paycheck was the paycheck that had to cover my January 1st through 15th bills. And this is how I broke everything down. Hopefully you can see that. Let me lift it up a little bit so you can see it. So this is how I broke everything down. You see my fixed bills. You see my cash envelopes. You see my sinking funds. You see my debt, which is my student loan. See what I paid for my debt. You see my savings challenges that I have written out for my savings challenges to break that down. And then on the other side, I just wrote everything down, how much everything was, and then the nominations of everything that I needed. And that's what I took to the bank to get my cash that I needed to stuff my envelopes. So that week I needed $824. That's what I got from the bank. And I stuffed my envelopes with it. So hopefully you kind of understand or get the gist of it. Also, I use trackers for debts and for savings. Child, or maybe a little ghetto savings sheet. This is my cash envelope savings challenge. Now I'm doing 4 savings challenges. And like I said, if you Google savings challenges or savings trackers, they have savings challenges for every budget. Like I said, if you just need to get you to your first $1,000 to save as an emergency, that's the first thing you need to do. Now I do believe in that. Dave Ramsey says the first thing you need to budget for is your $1,000 savings funds. Everybody needs to have at least $1,000 as an emergency fund, not savings fund, I'm sorry, as an emergency fund, and then you start building off that, because technically you need about 3 to 6 months of what your bills are, just in case you're unemployed or something happens and you're not working for 3 to 6 months. You need to have at least 3 to 6 months of emergency funds to cover those bills for that amount of time. So the first thing you want to do is build up a $1,000 emergency fund. You have to have that emergency fund. And like I said, they have different savings. I got a debt tracker for my student loans. So I'm going to have a debt tracker I'm getting ready to buy a house. So I'm going to have a debt tracker for my house. Where's my game of loans? Here's an example of emergency fund tracker. You put your goal of $1,000 up here, and then you divide by if you want to reach your goal in a year, if you want to reach your goal in 6 months, if you want to reach your goal in 3 months. And then you take that and divide by the time, by your paycheck, and then that's how you come up with how much you need to save every paycheck. I hope I'm explaining that right. So let me take out my calculator just so I can so let's say, for instance, you want to reach saving $1,000 in 6 months. All right. And say you want to do it in, oh Lord, I done said you want to do it 6 months. So let's say you have a monthly budget, right? You divide that 1,000 by 6. Ooh, I don't like them sixes, child. So we're gonna say 167. So you need to save 167 a month to have $1,000 in your emergency fund in 6 months. Or if you break it down by weeks on how you get paid, then you pull out your calendar, see how many weeks are in 6 months. It's usually about 4 weeks in a month, right? So you say it's 24 weeks. You can break that down if you get paid bi-weekly, right? So that would be what, about 12, not 12 pays. That would be, yeah, 12 pays. If 24 is every week, then yeah, every other week would be 12 pays. So if you want to pay it off in 12 paychecks, then you just say 1,000 divided by 12. That would mean you would need to save $83 per paycheck. So you do it however you want to, however you feel comfortable. But the first thing you need to do is save up that $1,000 in emergency fund. If you do not have $1,000 in your emergency fund, if you do not have $1,000 in your savings account right now, that's the first thing you need to work on. Don't think about anything else. Well, think about your bills, child. But don't think about any wants. Don't think about any of those sinking funds. You may have to do like Dave Ramsey said, eat some rice and beans and stuff first to get to that $1,000 in emergency fund. And then you can worry about sinking funds and things like that. Because if you don't have that $1,000 in your emergency fund, let me tell you something. Well, you're going to need your health. You don't need household. You don't need any clothes and shoes right now. I'm sure you got enough clothes and shoes. Ain't nobody going nowhere right now. Sit your tail down. Ain't nobody going nowhere right now. You don't need no clothes and shoes. Scratch that off your sinking funds. Car maintenance, you do need car maintenance if you have a car. If you don't, you're not going to have that envelope. Vacation? No, child, you can't take no vacation right now until you get your $1,000 in emergency funds saved. No vacation for you. Christmas, don't worry about saving for Christmas. You can put a little bit to the side for Christmas, like maybe $5 or something like that. Beauty, child, don't worry about it. You better use the hair products that you got on hand. You better throw that hair up in a ponytail or something. Don't worry about no beauty right now. Don't worry about eating out right now. Take that eating out money and put it in your emergency funds. You need to have $1,000 in your emergency fund, in your savings account. If you do not have that, you need to get that right now, right away. Okay? So I hope that this helped some of y'all to understand budgeting and how to budget and why you budget. I hope I broke it down enough for you. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to leave comments. Please remember to like and subscribe. And yeah, that's all I need to say about budgeting and budgeting tips. Keep watching and keep looking. And you guys have a great day and happy budgeting.